for joining me at ScrapRack in Tacoma. How many of you are here for the very first time? First time in this store?
Woo!
Well, welcome. We're so glad to have you. Our hostess tonight, Kelly, is the store owner. She's got this beautiful little store here, and it's very well organized and very easy to shop. So I'm so glad that you could make it and check out her little store. My name is Tiffany Spaulding. I've met some of you before, I know. And I am one of those people that my mother called organized by birth. My brother and sister had a totally different name for it. But it was one of those things growing up that my mother really appreciated because my room was always clean and my bed was always made and my books were always in my backpack at the front door before I went to bed at night. And in my free time, I organized the kitchen cupboards and I sorted out the silverware drawer. And when my brother and sister were mad at me, they would go into the kitchen cupboards and mess everything up. Strategy. But what I never was an art girl or a hobby girl or creative in that sense at all. Even to the fact that my mother, who's a professional artist, did all my art projects for me in lower school. I had zero interest. And when I got into the upper school and I started running for student council, she made all my student council posters. Anything that I had to be handmade, my mother was joyfully did it for me because I was completely uninterested. So one night I get a phone call from my sister and she says, "Hey, what are you doing on Friday?" And I said, "I don't really know, I don't have any plans." She said, "I'm having a party, you want to come?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to come, that sounds like fun." She goes, "Great, be at my house on Friday, 6 o'clock, bring 5 pictures." What? What about the pictures? She says, "Don't worry about it, just bring 5 pictures all from the same event." And I'm like, "What is that about?" She said, "The pictures." I go, "I'm not playing any stupid game with old pictures where you try to guess who's the baby or whatever, I'm not doing that." And she says, "It's not that, just bring the pictures and be here." And so I keep pumping her, right? And finally, she spills the beans to me. It's a Creative Memories event. How many of you got that call? So I say, you know, I got nothing against shopping. I got nothing against, I have lots of crafty friends. Send me a catalog, I'll spend some money, I'll support your cause, but I'm not interested in spending Friday night doing something crafty. She pulls this on me. "Oh, I'm your older sister, I'm your bigger sister. You need to be at my house with your pictures." So I show up there like a teenage girl with a bad attitude. I got the arms crossed, head shake, eye roll. I can't believe I'm here. Throwing pictures on the table. She hands me a glass of wine and things get a little bit better. But a half an hour later, I am a scrapbooking goddess. I've got that big light layout, you know the one with the 2 triangles of colors? I've got heart-shaped pictures and star-shaped pictures. In fact, I am so good with decorative edge scissors, I'm thinking about trimming my own hair at this point. This is great, I love this stuff, right? So I'm just amazed that here's something my whole life, I've never been good at art, probably because I never did it, but I've never been good at art. But this thing, this is easy for me and it's wonderful and it's fun because I really do love my sister, even though she had to threaten me to get me here. I really do enjoy spending time with her. And it's so much fun. So I say to the rep, "I love this. This is great. This is something I can do. What do you have? What do I need? Is there anything out in the trunk of your car?" Because I have to have everything. Anybody else? So I left that very first Creative Memories event with my 2 white plastic Creative Memories shopping bags bulging at the seams. Already probably had more stuff than I needed. I get home. My husband looks at me and he goes, "I thought you were going to party at your sister's." And he says, "What is that?" And I pull out that beautiful layout and I show it to him and he goes, "Tiff, that looks like a craft. Might even be considered a hobby. Definitely artsy. If this lasts 3 months, I'll pay for all that stuff." So, 16 years later, I was hooked from that very first event. I was hooked. It was so much fun. I loved it. It's the modern day quilting bee. I have a reason now to go out and hang out with my girlfriends and do stuff. And there's shopping involved. So even though I had enough stuff, did that stop me from finding Scrapbook Nook over in Kent the very next weekend? That was a long haul back in the day too. So I'm out with my sister hoarding up whatever I can find. So I was addicted right away. Anybody else have that same feeling of addiction right away? I had too much stuff right away. Anybody else have too much stuff right away? Because at some point, my crop walk, those white plastic bags, turned into something like this, where I was rolling bags with 2 big totes, and I was unzipping, and I was unbuttoning, and I was rolling things out, and I'm organizing. organized, right? So I have my 2 rolling totes, I have my 2 tackle boxes full. So I have my scrapbooker's backpack, I have my scrapbooker's backpack. I've got it all. I've got aprons with scissors on them, I've got special things to hang over my chair. But I would get to an event and I would just have so much stuff that I didn't even know where to start. So I would start by going through 6 inches of pictures, and pretty soon I would be talking to all my girlfriends. Oh, I have 2 boys, London and Max. Look at Max when he was 4. Wasn't he cute? Oh, look at London when he was fishing. And pretty soon I'm having a good time sharing with everybody, but I'm still not getting anything done. Finally, I think, I've got to buckle down. I've got to get something done. And I'm going to work on Christmas. I have all my Christmas stuff. And I go sticking and I just start to set things up. Well, I'm a tag scrapper. I love tags. They make everything easy. You can journal on them, you can put pictures on them, you can put flowers on them, whatever you need. They make everything look great. Gotta have them. Couldn't find them. Now, how was that? How was that I rolled up here with all this stuff and I can't find my tags? Where are those tags? Ah, the tags are in a Rubbermaid container upstairs in the linen closet behind the ironing board. Why are they there? Because I have to spread my stuff all around the house, so my husband doesn't know how much I have. So, in this situation, I'm out on the floor at the scrapbook show buying more tags, right? And you can't just buy a few tags, right? Because there's other things that go with tags, like ribbons and eyelets and all the other goodies, and so I'm buying more stuff. And then I go back and I start to work again, and I notice a gal across from me is working on Christmas, and she's got the perfect Christmas paper that matches my living room. And I think to myself, now Tiffany, you have plenty of Christmas paper. Matter of fact, you have enough Christmas paper to do Christmas albums for everybody you know. But then my rational side kicks in and says, now isn't that true? I do. So if I buy this new paper for my Christmas album, I can use all this Christmas paper for everybody else's. That makes perfect sense, right? Okay. So I'm out on the show floor buying more stuff. And so it got to the point when I would get home from an event, my husband would say to me, show me what you've done. And I would pull out like 1 double-page layout, and he would say, not that. I want to see your Visa bill. So, well, I was having a great time, and I was collecting a lot of stuff. I wasn't really getting a lot of stuff done. Anybody else have that same experience? Not only that, I was a dining room table scrapper. And so hauling everything out was really crazy, because you not only had to have the time to haul it out, but inevitably you needed to put it away. Because another thing that annoyed my husband was eating spaghetti on a chair in his lap. The table was covered. So in efforts of maintaining home peace and tranquility, I had to come up with a way to get organized. And so what I came up with is what has now turned into, has evolved to be the scrap rack. So I know some of you have seen it and some of you have not. So really quickly, I'll just go through a couple of the components before I kind of show how to organize it. This metal base right here with the wings on it is the scrap rack. It's what we call the basic. It's the metal base, 2 wings, and 7 of these crazy things, and they're called spinders. And that's just a standard 3-ring section with locking tabs on it, and it's got the same commercial grade of Velcro on the back. So they just stick right on there. So what this does is give you a platform where you can organize all of your craft supplies right out in front of you and at your fingertips. Now, I kind of talked a little bit before about doing that expansion, right? Because some of us will look at this little base unit and go, that'll never work for me, I have way more stuff. One of the nice things about the scrap rack is because it's component driven, it can be as big or small as you need it to be. So it can evolve and change the same way that your scrapbooking supplies do, just by linking base units together. How many of you have had the experience of buying the perfect organizational tool 7 or 8 times? So when we talk about organization, there's 2 things that we need to keep in mind. The first one is that it's not just tools, it's also a system. So when we buy great tools, they might work well if there's a system to go along with it. And so along with the scrap rack tool, we've developed a system that can be used to organize all of your supplies. And it's called the 4-section system. It's pretty simple, 4 major categories. Here's what happens to your brain when you need to find something in your scrapbook room. You say to your little self, I need some red brads. Do I have red brads? And your brain says, yes, you do have red brads. And then you say, okay, self, where are the red brads? And your self responds with, I'm I'm sure they're somewhere over in that room, but I know it'll be way faster to run up to scrap that and get some more. And that's a pretty standard answer because we have been taught to containerize our supplies, right? Brad's over here, eyelets over here, stamps over here, stickers over here, paper over here. All these great containers, what I call containerization, is what we get marketed every January when the organization magazines come out, whether it's something from Home Depot, Martha Stewart, or Creating Keepsakes. It's all about containerization. And they show you these wonderful rooms with these really cute little boxes that are all kind of labeled and just rows and rows and rows of them. And everything's in there, and the room is neat and tidy and pretty, but it's containerized rather than organized. And if you look at organization in the dictionary, it's going to say something like to put together into a functional, structured whole. And that word whole is something that gets missed a lot of the times with scrapbooking because we tend to segment things off. So, if you think about it the way if you think about your scrapbooking supplies, the way you think about your silverware drawer, right? So, the silverware drawer is somewhere where we keep everything together that we use together, right? If you open your silverware drawer, it has salad forks, dinner forks, dessert forks, butter knives, steak knives, soup spoons, everything you need to set the table, whether it's for something casual or something big, everything's right there. So it's easy to set the table. After the dishes come out of the dishwasher, it's easy to take them out of the dishwasher and put them away. So we've kept things together we're going to use together, and it's easy to take them out, and it's easy to put them away. Now, let's treat our silverware the same way we treat our scrapbooking supplies. Oh, look at my butter knives. I'm going to hang those over here. Look at these beautiful, shiny silver spoons. I'm going to fan those out in this basket. Oh, but wait, look at these darling, darling dessert forks. Those are going to be best if I can just put them in a bunch of little jars in the window, or maybe up on a shelf where I need to get a step ladder to get to them. Okay? So we spread all our stuff out all around our room in these little, instead of putting things all together that we're going to use together. And so that's one of the reasons that the scrap rack works as well as it does, because it takes that concept of keeping things together you would use together and combines it with a system that's easy for your brain to follow. So there's four categories in the four-section system, obviously. First one is alphanumeric, anything that's a letter, number, or punctuation mark. Second one is themes A to Z, and those are all the things that you scrapbook about organized alphabetically. Third one is the calendar year, and the fourth one is the rainbow. So, if you let your brains wander through your scrapbooking supplies, can you come up with anything that doesn't actually fit into that category? It's the same if you're a rubber stamper or if you're a card maker. The categories are going to be basically the same. We have different items maybe in each category, or specifically if you're a card maker, instead of having one little tag that says thank you, you might have 10 thank you tags or 15 happy birthday tags or whatever, but the concepts are exactly the same. You're going to keep those things together that you would use together. So let's talk about that first category. Now, this scrap rack that I'm demonstrating to you in actually are the components from my personal scrap rack in the craft room at the office, because my normal scrap rack is touring without me on its way to Cincinnati. So this is actually a scrap rack in use. So it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's alphanumeric and not theme specific, it's going to go in that first category. It doesn't matter what size it is. Now for me, I think of that first category, alphanumeric, as anything that has to do with tags, titles, or journaling, right? So how many of you have bought some sort of journaling template and never seen it again? Okay? So if you can put it where it's going to pop up for you when you need to do some journaling or create a title, then you're going to actually see it, so you'll probably get more use out of it. Now the other thing you can do is just write a little date on that journaling template, and if you flip past it for 2 or 3 years and never use it, it might be time to get rid of it. But you know how long it's been in there, so it's a good little tip for making sure that you're not keeping stuff that you're not using. Any of you have Titletopia from Creative Memories? It comes in that little, okay? So with Titletopia and things like that, you can buy this little self-adhesive spine. It's called a ring binder insert strip. And what it does, it's just a sticker that goes on the side of things, and it's 3-hole punched. So you can take your Titletopia and actually add it to this 3-ring thing, and then you're going to use that as more often as well. But again, when I mentioned earlier about something from Office Supply, Crop and Style, Creative Memories, it doesn't matter. As long as it's got that standard 3-hole punch, it's going to fit in there. So, but what I've got in here is all the stuff that I have that's alphanumeric, and not theme specific. So now when I'm looking to create a tag or title, I just have to go to one place and I can see all the different alphabets that I've got. So it makes it really simple to spell out a whole word or to create something with letters, because you're not digging all over the place trying to see if you have enough letters to spell a particular word. All your letters are in one place, so it makes it really simple, as long as it's not theme specific. So that's section 1, alphanumeric. Anybody have a question about that? It's pretty simple, pretty basic. Section 2 is our themes A to Z, and this is going to be different for everybody in here, but it's all the things that you scrapbook about organized alphabetically. So animals, baby, camping, sports, whatever it is. So I've got animals, birthday, boys, I have crazy boys stuff. But whatever it is, beach, now when I'm working on a card or a project that has to do with that theme or category, I don't have to look for paper in one place, stickers in another place, ribbons, brads, beads. They're not everywhere. They're right there in front of me at my fingertips. The other thing that happens when we're creating is we end up with a pile of stuff at the end of the table, right? These are all the things that we dug out, then decided not to use, or we didn't need to use all of them, and so they end up in a pile at the end of our table. Now, my boys now are 14 and 16, but years ago, driving along in my minivan, and I'm listening to them in the back seat, talking about if they could have anything, any magic power, what would it be? And one of them, of course, wanted invisibility. Now, my younger one thought that the cool thing to have would be the power to throw infinite invisible dough balls. So as I'm driving along listening to them, I'm thinking to myself, boy, what would I like to have? I'd like to have a fairy godmother that came and put away that pile at the end of my day. And I was done. Then I thought to myself, why don't you wish to win the lottery or something? But it's true, we end up with this pile of things at the end of our table, and then we have to put them away. And they usually don't get put away. They usually get swept into something else, some other tote or whatever, or they get jammed together into some other container, and then they're gone forever. Well, one of the nice things about the scrap rack is, because it's so easy to flip back to that section when you've finished your project, you can actually take those things that are sitting at the end of your table and put them right back where they belong in just a few minutes. That is a big benefit when you're creating things as well. How many of you have enough stuff to make birthday cards for everybody you'd ever need a birthday card for the rest of your life? How many of you have run to Target and picked up a birthday card in the last year? So one of the things that happens is we have all this stuff, but it takes so long to get to it, then rather than whipping up a little wine tag that says thanks for inviting me to dinner and tying it on that wine bottle, even if it's made out of something that you think is hideous and ugly, you know when you give somebody a handmade tag, no matter how ugly you think it is, they think you're amazing, right? So you've got all this stuff that you're not using because in order to make that tag or make that card, it's an hour of digging and searching for things, as opposed to going, oh, I need to make a tag for that, boom. Here's a tag blank, here's a little bit of bling, here's a thank you stamp, I'm done. So not only is it easier to do things, you're more likely to create things on the fly because you can. And when you create things on the fly, you burn up stuff that you don't really like, that you don't want to put in your book or on that picture frame or in your card or whatever. So it relieves a little bit of that guilt that we have for buying so much stuff that we're not actually using. So there's all kinds of benefits out there to that thing. The other thing is things that we don't think about, like if you have kids and it's somebody's birthday or your husband's birthday or whatever, if it's hard to find a birthday sticker or a birthday rub-on, you're probably not going to take that I love you, happy birthday rub-on and put it on a coffee cup for your husband in the morning because it's a pain in the neck. But now if you're able to start rethinking those things because you can grab them quickly and easily, you can come up with all kinds of uses for craft supplies that are just kind of sitting around, and so it makes it easy to do that as well. All right, I've digressed a little bit. So now let's get to section number 3, and section number 3 is the calendar year, and this is where you're going to put everything grouped by month or season together so that when you're working on something for fall, for back to school, everything's together in one place for you, right? It's really easy to find. The other benefit, whenever I teach people, someone in class always says, why have a calendar year? Why don't you just put Easter under E and Christmas under C and Halloween under H, and you don't have to have the calendar year? But remember, and keep this in mind as you're organizing things, our goal is to keep things together we use together. So if Halloween's under H, it's no longer next to fall, Thanksgiving, all of those things, pumpkins and leaves and scary trees that might work in Halloween or fall or Thanksgiving, they're now going to be separated out under F, H, and T. You're not going to see them and you're not going to use them. So the more visible and accessible your supplies are, the more likely you are to actually use them and use more of what you've got. So again, anything that's holiday and seasonal is going to be grouped together by month or season, and that varies based on how you think about those seasons. A lot of it varies based on the fact of how old your children are, or if your children are gone, you don't have to worry about some of that holiday stuff anymore. But if you look at my scrap rack, it goes January to June, and then I have a section called summer, which is kind of a joke in the Northwest. So but I have it. We've had summer for the last 2 weeks, right? It's here now. So, and then I have September, October, November, December, because those are bigger sections for me. So as you start to organize, you may do, as my sister does, winter, spring, summer, fall. You may have 12 months, January through December, or you may kind of segment it off. So once you start sorting and organizing, you'll know how big of a section you need for that. The final section is the rainbow. And the rainbow is where you put everything grouped by color that doesn't fit into a theme or category in the front. So now when you say, oh, I need a black brad, you don't have to go over to your brad box, pull out the brad box, open the brad box, scan through all the little boxes of brads in the brad box, take out the black brad box, open the black brad box, spill it all over the floor. Never happens. You're just like the vacuum cleaner, I'll get that. Maybe the dog will eat those. They're like 7 cents. I'm not picking it up. Whatever. And then decide that you don't even want black brads. So now you have to scoop them back up, put them back in the box, put the little box back in the big box, close it, the big box, put the big box back on the shelf. Right? So finding anything takes longer, so you end up using the things that you have laying around you. Well, once you have everything grouped by color, a couple of really crazy things happen. First of all, you just use more stuff because it's easier to get to. But the other thing that happens is, I'll give you a little personal example, again, including my sister. We've been scrapping together for years, and so one evening we decide we're going to get together with albums through, album a year or whatever, and a bottle of wine, and we're going to look at our albums, how we've progressed. And so we started out looking, and it was hysterical, okay? We were like crying, because we started out with those Creative Memories pages, and God bless Creative Memories, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here, right? We wouldn't be sucked into this. As a matter of fact, my husband at one point came to me and he said, there's going to be a class action suit against Creative Memories. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, yeah, just like tobacco and alcohol, you all are addicted. So I'm thinking to myself, now, maybe I could get that started, because if I'm an addict, doesn't my health insurance have it? He's a real smarty. But it's true, right? So we were going through our stuff, and here's what happens. Creative Memories, Creative Memories, Creative Memories. Then we ventured out. We felt kind of like we were cheating on our rep, and we took a class at the local scrapbook store called Border Basics and Beyond. So then as we looked through our books, it was like borders, borders, borders. And we took a paper doll class, right? Paper dolls, ribbon, eyelets, tattered angels, whatever technique we had most recently used and whatever products were most front on our work tables was the thing that we used until we took a new class and learned something else, and then that thing was vanished, right? We were on to something else, which is kind of cool because you see this learning history of the things that you've done, but you forget the things that you've learned. And so one of the nice things about putting all your supplies together, and particularly color, is as you're flipping through, you go, oh yeah, I do know how to work with felt. Or, oh, I totally forgot about using glitter. Or I had these great micro beads that I completely forgot I knew how to do this. I had the double stick tape, I had everything I needed to do it, but because they were out of sight, they were out of mind. Well, now when you look through things, you see all those products. They become more front and center. So you get more use out of not only your knowledge, but the supplies that you've accumulated over the last couple of years or whatever. The other thing that happens, which is really pretty cool as well, is you become a better designer from the perspective of your use of color. Because when you look at a page, instead of looking at a page and saying, or a card or whatever it is, looking at that thing and saying, I need a yellow brad, you look at that project and you say, this project needs yellow. And then when you go to yellow, you see your flowers and your eyelets and your ribbon and then all those other things. So you end up using more stuff that way and being a little bit more creative about how you use it. So putting everything together by color, again, even ribbons, fibers. How many of you have the dreaded scrap bin? A box, a tote, a file folder, a Ziploc bag, haunting you full of scraps of paper. Okay?
A
drawer, yes.
4 drawers.
4 drawers of scraps. And we can't throw those scraps away because that would be wasteful, right? So instead of throwing them away, I'm going to waste my space, I'm going to waste my time, and I'm going to waste my energy so I don't waste 7 cents worth of cardstock. So I have a solution for that. It's kind of a compromise. I'm not going to tell you to throw all of your scraps away. What I am going to tell you is to pick a minimum scrap size, right? So if you're a card maker, you might use a little tiny scrap. I don't keep anything that's not at least 2 by 3. My sister doesn't keep anything that is not at least 12 inches long. It just depends on how, she doesn't care how wide it is, but it's got to be 12 inches long. So it just depends on who you are and how you scrap. But before you do your next project, pick your minimum scrap size, write it down, and post it on your bulletin board or on your wall or wherever. How many of you are really good goal setters? Start a New Year's resolution on the 23rd of August. But I will tell you, as you might have guessed, I'm a huge goal setter. Okay? I have a little book, and every night I write down in the book how close I am to accomplishing whatever goal. But one of the things about goals that a business friend told me when I first started in business was, if you don't write it down, it's not a goal. And so currently, on the whiteboard in the office, it says at the bottom of our goals board, goals not put to paper are intentions that are seeds without soil. So if you can give your goal, even a tiny little goal, like what size scrapbook paper you're going to keep, and write it down and put it on the wall, for some reason, I don't know what it is in the human brain, but it makes it really, really, really easy to follow up, because I guess there's something staring at you. And you can say, that's my goal, and whatever other feelings I have about it, I'm going to meet that goal. And so all I'm asking you to do is start your goal, your trend of goal setting, by writing down what size scrap is your minimum scrap size. Then when you're finished with the project and you have all those scraps of paper, whether it's solid color or a theme or a holiday, sitting at the edge of your table, if it doesn't meet your minimum, it goes in the recycle bin or the purge box or whatever, wherever it's going to go. Or the garbage, I don't care. I was teaching a class one time, and the gal was in one of those places where there weren't really rooms, there were just like heavy curtains. So I say to my class, now I want you to meet your size, I want you to throw everything else away. And she comes over after class and she goes, do you realize you're over here telling everybody to throw things away, and I'm over there teaching a class called Waste Not, Want Not? I'm so sorry about that. But it's true. Know who you are as a scrapbooker and know what you'll use. And whatever doesn't meet your minimum, and ladies, I would go big on this. Right? I would say, you know, I'm a 2 by 3 girl. That's the smallest I would go. But I would say if you can go 6 by 6 and get rid of everything else, because is there a shortage of scraps? Who in here has a shortage of paper? I know the only reason you're raising your hand is because you're an addict. And addicts always think they don't have enough. You all have plenty of paper. I would venture to guess that all of you could throw away half the paper you have and you still have plenty of paper. Okay, so maybe we need a support group for tossing away paper. Maybe we should have a Monday night meeting and we can all bring in some paper. Do what do you do with little kids when they're giving up the pacifier? You put it in the garbage and you say bye-bye.
My daughter's in college, and that's what she wants to do for her project, is to help scrapbookers. Purge. Give her my email address, and I will purge and organize. One of the classes that I teach, actually, we do talk a lot about purging, and there's a lot of strategies for purging. So much of organization is mental, and that's one of the things in that the web and online classes that I teach, where I really talk about what's going on in your brain and how to identify what's going on in your brain so that you can purge, or that you can, you know, sort of overcome some of the hurdles. One of the things that happens, especially with the color section, when I tell people, you're just going to put everything in there that's color. And inevitably somebody will come to me after they've taken the class and they've got their fan and they're like, are you trying to tell me I got to put my eyelets next to my glitter? Yeah, eyelets and glitter. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm starting to get a stomach ache. I need to sit down. You can do it. You can put your felt and your eyelets and your beads and your brads and your buttons and your bows all together by color, and then you're going to use them. And you know what else is an amazing thing that happens once you get all your supplies into your 4-section system? When you come home from something, like a shopping trip to ScrapRack, and you have your cute little shopping bag, instead of going, I don't know where to put this, I'll just put it in the closet. Right? You go, oh, I bought Christmas stuff at ScrapRack. Christmas section, boom, and you can put it away. So it makes it really simple, not only to use your supplies, but it makes it easy to put those supplies away as well, which means you're going to find them, and then you're actually going to use them instead of spending an hour digging and searching around for that bag from ScrapRack when you're ready to use those products.
So when we start this, then we need to make shelves in our room and buy 25 of these.